Hello from my side. So I will present to you our paper about transport planning tools and the need for a new transport planning application. The authors of this paper come from different faculties at the University of Maribor and are Anastasija Pongračič, Neja Kokot, Klavdija Petelin, Domen Keblič, Teja Črešnik, Eva Volmajer, Dr. Matevž Obrecht, and myself. So our transport planning tools and the whole article actually came to life in the Corona times while we were working on a project together, and then this project actually came even more to life after everything finished. So our part was mostly about the why do we need this application and how can we improve what already exists, and then other students from University of Maribor came and actually made this application. I will show it to you how it looks like, why it can be used, and how it actually improves maybe the lives of people. Okay, so if we go on, I hope this works.
Yeah, maybe if you can just change a little bit your monitor, because your head is a little bit out of the picture.
Okay. So firstly, I think we need to look at the environmental impact data, because we saw that especially due to transit transport, and there is a large share of car journeys, especially in Eastern Slovenian cohesion region. If you look at Slovenia, we saw that the EU transport sector contributes to about 25% of all greenhouse gas emissions. This is the data from the European Environmental Agency from 2019, and we saw that the transport is a major emitter of particulate matter that affects human and animal health and causes noise pollution and consumes imported fossil fuels. So we saw that by the environmental part of the analysis, we saw that there is the need for a new application, something to be done. And then if we look at our vision for what we wanted to do, we wanted to show that the environmental impacts of individual transport, personal or cargo, on individual routes could be directly highlighted by the burning problem of environmental impacts of transport, and link it to individual activities of societies and companies. By that, we meant that we could educate the public and companies about the environmental impacts of their transport. So if somebody goes from Maribor to Ljubljana or from one city to another, there are different alternatives of their route, by which car they use, by which type of transport they use, and how many greenhouse gas emissions they are producing, and what is their actual environmental impact. So we saw that due to the increase of daily migrations in Slovenia, the focus of the Green EU Recovery Plan was focused on sustainable mobility. And our paper focuses on analyzing the existing tools for planning transport routes and examining tools for environmental impact assessment. So what are the sustainable development goals that our paper directly connects to? We kind of saw 4 of them that are specifically connected to our topic. This is number 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure, number 11, sustainable cities and communities, number 12, responsible consumption and production, and number 13, climate action. It is a mix of all of them together, because we think it's important that we see it holistically. And now I will show to you, just a second. Okay, what kind of methods we used? The first thing we used was the professional and scientific literature, and also we did a market analysis of preferences by the public. So we did the analysis of what actually exists, how are the environmental impacts in Slovenia, Europe, what are the papers and different directives by the European Union and also in Slovenia. And then we went and did a survey. I think it was more than 220 respondents about what their preferences would be for having an application that could basically tell them which kind of route they should take to be more environmentally friendly. So after that, we did a comparative analysis to review and analyze the tools that actually exist just to plan the routes, and also the tools to see what kind of environmental impact does somebody have on the planet. So what we found out, what the comparative analysis of the route planning tools, this means Via Michelin, Google Maps, and so on, showed us. We were looking at selected routes, what kind of route you could select, what kind of type of vehicle, if you can select the type of vehicle, because this is really important by seeing how much environmental impact your actual route has, and then what were the driving limitations, so avoiding highways and pay tolls and so on. The departure time, if you can choose the time of the departure, and if it shows you what time will you come, then carbon footprint, it calculates it for you, then the cost, what if it actually gives you the cost of different routes, and then the maps, if you can see it on the map, and then fuel consumption, if it calculates the fuel consumption. So we found out that here the PTV map and guide was the most suitable one by our standards. So Via Michelin and Google Maps didn't have as much to offer as the PTV map and guide was. So we saw that if a company wants to see our selected different the selected routes, type of vehicles, and so on, it should choose the PTV map and guide. And then we did a comparison of different applications for environmental impact assessment. So this means that to assess your impact, your carbon footprint, and so on, we saw that we looked at what the app has to offer. Then what was the methodology that it used, what was the required information you had to put in the app, and what were the other interesting facts. So we went to see the commute greener, green travel choice, green meter, off sense, trip it and go green. So we see that each of them has something to offer. The least has the green meter, because in many of those segments that we wanted to know about, they didn't have any data to offer. But most of the best one was almost for sure the green travel choice. So we saw, and also the commute greener, sorry, the commute greener too, this is the first one. So the result of the whole analysis was that there is still a lot of room for developing new tools that could offer a choice of car, route, and at the same time calculate the carbon footprint of the transport itself. So, and then also, in our opinion, our application could be even more refined and would calculate even more data for the user. And we think there is still a lot of place for improvements in the carbon footprint application, also next to our application, of course. So by the market research, we saw that 70% of our that answered our questionnaire acknowledged the interest of different carpool providers as a commute alternative. So this is a good thing. And then also 37% of respondents would actually consider changing their habits and use an environmentally friendlier option, because we saw that there is little people who actually use regularly Google Maps or Via Michelin and so on to plan their route, to see that they can see which one is more optimal, better, and so on. So this is especially in Slovenia, because we did this research in Slovenia. So we saw that almost a third of them would actually consider changing their habits if they used such an application. So after our research, the new team of students created the Transport Green application. So you can see here how the actual application looks like. It's available in the app stores. You can see here, this is from the left to the right. On the left, this is the starting screen. Then you put in the starting destination, the ending destination, the vehicle you choose from different vehicles. This is only the car that you see now, but you also have the bus, the LPG car, and so on. And then the driving type, calm, average, or fast. And then you see how much, this is kind of by the colors, how much is environmentally friendly your option. So we see that our option, the one that I chose, by driving fast, it is very bad for the climate. It causes quite a lot of human toxicity and also quite a lot of particulate matter formations. And it also shows you how much time is it used to get to your destination, how many kilometers it will have, and what car I chose. So after that, you can also see the whole route that you have to take. And then when you look at the additional information, you see the environmental impact. So you can see the actual theoretical background of different things. So about climate change, ozone depletion, terrestrial acidification, and so on. So the different things that are important for knowing and learning about climate change and about environmental impact. So this is an application that mostly the application allows you to change and adapt travel habits and minimize the environmental impact. And as research shows, the general public has little knowledge about environmental impacts and the importance of greenhouse gas emissions in grams per kilometer. And special emphasis is also placed on a clear and understandable presentation of environmental impacts and its interpretation. I have to also add that this application that we saw before is just the first step to actually having something like this in the Slovenian or European market. So it is the thing that students did. It was limited by the resources and also the time. So it's just a start, and it was meant to have an easier explanations for the user. So this means that we show them that it does not mean that the route causes 12.66 kilograms of CO2 emissions, but that it causes as many emissions as the weight of an average bicycle or a carton of milk. And also it leads to an occupation of the land on which from 2 to 4 kilograms of tomatoes could be grown on. Because in this type of information presentation, it is more representative and understandable for the average user. And this is what we wanted to do with this application. This is what we found out during our research, that the general public needs general information and easy, understandable information, something that they can also continue to understand and to memorize, and then that they also all the time have it in their heads. So the conclusions, we found out that we wanted to achieve an easy and people-friendly way of raising environmental awareness when using traffic routes, and above all, we wanted to present the impact of different types of traffic with the help of simple explanations. And we also, we found out that if you wanted to make a standalone application, it would have to be design perfect, user experience would have to be above perfect, it would have to be almost better than Google Maps. This is why in my opinion, and also in our opinion, those types of applications haven't come to life yet. And also it would have to have the gamification process that is now almost a must for different applications to connect with the user and to keep them engaged in using the application. So yeah, we also found that to have people socially responsible about travel routes and travel planning, it's gonna have a lot of effort, and it definitely should have a strategic approach to it, because those types of applications shouldn't just be something on the market, but it should be strategically implemented in maybe schools, in companies, and so on. So thank you for your attention. We also found out that what is the use of a house if you don't have a tolerable planet to put it on? So please keep that in mind. You also need the land to have your garden on and your house on. So thank you very much for your attention.